Today we're talking about two iVANKY products, the iVANKY FusionDock Max 1 versus the FusionDock Pro 3. This is the ultimate MacBook dock showdown. Hey tech fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a head-to-head comparison of two powerhouse docking stations from iVANKY. The FusionDock Max 1 with Thunderbolt 4 and the FusionDock Pro 3 with Thunderbolt 5. It's got 11 connections. It is an awesome dock. It works really well. I'm very happy with it. iVANKY sent this over for a review and I thank them for it. And then they contacted me and they asked me if I care to do a comparison between this and their flagship, the Max 1. So the FusionDock Max 1, which is 20 connections. So you're comparing more connections. Now it makes it kind of complicated because on paper, I'm a speed guy and some of my findings have really surprised me. I've got so many things connected to the Max 1 and my workflow doesn't change the speed at all. So I've rendered straight to my Thunderbolt 5 enclosure. I've rendered through the Thunderbolt 5 dock and I've rendered through the Thunderbolt 4 dock and I see no speed improvements. Now when I do a file transfer, which my files are usually about 6 gigs. So I see about a quarter of a second and that's I did all the math. They come down to about 250 milliseconds difference between going from the Thunderbolt 4 to the Thunderbolt 5. I'm very shocked that I don't see a sizable gain to have the Thunderbolt 5 and the 4. If I was moving 500 gigs around, which I'm not, I could see a difference. But with the size of the files that I'm working with, I was very surprised that the Thunderbolt 4 dock did what I need. The Max 1 and the 20 connections was really handy. Now, the Max 1 has a dual Thunderbolt, which the other ones don't. So the upper layer and the bottom layer, both are separate docks, separate buses. When you look on your Mac, it shows up as bus 1 and bus 2, which means there's two Thunderbolt docks in the Max. So I'm going to show you all the connections in the iVANKY Max 1, and we will get to that. But this is just a general talking about my feelings on what I found, because I really was torn between how am I going to do this comparison, how it affects me, not just numbers. Now I did all the numbers and I saw the speed increase and the decrease and all that, and everything was really marginal. So we'll get into that now. iVANKY sent these over. They asked me if I would compare the two. It kind of threw me because you're comparing the older version with the newer version, but actually this one on the right is actually the flagship model. So this is Thunderbolt 4 and this is Thunderbolt 5. So you have a faster dock with less ports. You have 11 connections here and you have 20 connections here. Now this is a very robust dock. It has an elevated platform so that it has air that can circulate 360 degrees around the whole unit, which is very nice. Build quality is good. Connections are tight. So let's go down the list here. And let's turn this Pro 3 around so we're looking front to front and then we'll look back to back. So on the front, you have an on-off switch, which by the way, it takes at least 8 seconds to turn off. You have two LEDs. One is a power indicator and one indicates Thunderbolt 5 is active. You have the laptop in. Here is your Thunderbolt 5 port in. So that's an upstream. Here's a Thunderbolt, and that's 140 watt charging capability to your laptop. And here is a Thunderbolt out, which is a 60 watt. Then you have a USB-A, 10 gigabits per second, and you have an SD card slot. So you don't have the micro SD card slot, you have to use an adapter. And you have a combination headphone microphone jack. Now when I used this one, I found out that when the laptop went to sleep, my audio unit made a noise. But I think I found out what the culprit is. You probably need a splitter so that that connection with the microphone and the headphones going into your audio system doesn't make that sound. Now moving over to the Max 1, we have 6K Thunderbolt 4. Now they're not marked Thunderbolt 4, but they are USB 4. So 6K on this port, 6K on this port, both of them coming out. USB-A, those are 10 gigabits per second. And then you have power delivery, USB-C, and a USB-C here. Moving over here, you have the combination microphone headphone jack. You have a micro SD card slot and an SD card slot. On the back, we have 3 more USB, 5 gigabits, 10 gigabits, and 10 gigabits. And we have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port here. We have 2 more Thunderbolt 5 ports coming out, 15 watts and 15 watts. And we have our power in, DC in. Moving over to the Thunderbolt 4, the Max 1, we have audio out. Now this one doesn't have the microphone jack, and I don't get that pop noise, so that's a good thing. That's what keyed me over to thinking about having the splitter. So there's 2 more USB-A 10 gigabits, another USB-A 10 gigabits. You have a LAN port here, 2.5 gigabits, 2 4K HDMI ports coming out, and 2 more 6K Thunderbolt 4 USB 4 ports coming out. And you have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports going in. So these USB 4/Thunderbolt 4, there's 2 Thunderbolt 4 chips in this dock, upper layer and a lower layer, which means this is actually 2 docks in one. Here's your power in and here's your lock. But anyway, when you got the Pro 3, you need to purchase some rather expensive USB-C to HDMI. Now I bought a long one, and that one was expensive because it's certified 8K. I believe it's this one, Ugreen 8K. Where doesn't it say 8? Yeah, it says 8K right here. So 8K. Now I have an 8K television, but I never was able to get 8K. And it's because of the laptop television setup. It's not because of any of the docks. The HDMI ports, I don't think, send 8K to that TV, no matter what I did. I think the laptop recognizes it as a TV, and it doesn't. It does a upscale to 8K, really nice. It's got a really high powered upscale engine. But anyway, here's 2 expensive HDMI cables. So your monitor setup is going to go like this. One of these Thunderbolt 5 ports goes to a monitor, and another Thunderbolt 5 port goes to a monitor. So now you've used up 2 of your ports. And these are the 2 HDMI cables that I was using. Now on the front, you have 1 HDMI out left. So that's for whatever you want it for. But that's where your other 2 monitors are going to go. And this is where your laptop's going to go in. So the remainder of the ports, you know what you got there. But we're talking about monitors and hooking up SSD drives specifically. So when it comes to this one, the HDMI ports are really a blessing, because that leaves 2 of your Thunderbolt 4 ports open. So now you've got monitor out, Thunderbolt 4 and Thunderbolt 4 out. So that's 2 Thunderbolt 4 outs instead of just 1 Thunderbolt 5. And then moving around to the front, you have 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports out. So you have 4 ports that are free. Plus, this is your in. You have 2, because this is a dual box, dual channel, dual dock. So separate motherboards. I don't know what the inside layout, if they're attached or not, but anyway, it's dual. So you end up with 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports coming out and 2 going in. And let me show you what I had connected to this dock. I had all of this connected. So I know it's not pretty, but I want to show it because of the robustness of this dock. We had the micro SD card plugged in, which worked great. We had the SD card in, which was great. We had 4 USBs here, USB-As going in. Now 2 and 2 of these are these are 2 5 terabytes, and I think it's 2 8 terabytes, and they are in RAID array, so they give me plenty of storage, but they're just for storage. They're actually from my older computer, so it's just a carryover kind of legacy from running my iMac. This was my first Thunderbolt 4 enclosure. It's an OWC Express 1M 2M, and it works great. This is just a other hard drive that I had laying around, 2 terabyte, that I ended up using for backup. I have a Samsung T7. This T7 is something that I was using with my iMac. And this was my latest Thunderbolt 5 dock. And this one has a Evo SSD in it from Samsung. I'm going to show you my connections on the back of this iVANKY FusionDock Max 1. So right off the bat, we have our LAN connection. Then we're going to go with monitor number 1 and monitor number 2. So now we have the 49-inch widescreen plugged in, and we have the 8K television plugged in. Next, I'm going to plug my Thunderbolt 4 one in, the 1M, 2M Express from OWC. I'm going to plug in my Thunderbolt 5. I'm going to plug in the 2 Thunderbolt 4 40 gigabit per second from the laptop. Next is my work drive number 2, which is a RAID array of spinning disks. Now I have one more RAID array of spinning disks to plug in, and we have to get one connection on the back and one connection on the front. And my audio. So my audio is going out right here on the audio jack. And that just about wraps up the back connections except for the power plug. So the power plug goes in here. Now if I can turn this around without too much ado here, we are looking at the front. So the front, I have to finish up my one connection from my RAID array, which is USB A to there. This is my Time Machine backup drive. Then I have my T7 Samsung that goes in the non-power delivery port on the front. I have my SD card, like that, and my micro SD card. Snap it in like that. So now I have 2 Thunderbolt 4s still left on the front, and I have all these drives connected, and I just need to connect this to my laptop with the dual cable supplied by iVANKY. So there's a look at my connection on my desk with all those drives hooked up. They're all sitting behind the monitor. And all I have to do is connect the laptop. And we will do that now. I will be rerouting this behind my desk, but this is the iVANKY double plug. Because like I said, this dock is a 2-in-1 dock. 2 Thunderbolt 4 chips. So that plugs into the laptop like that. I heard it recognized. And for now, let's just slip that back in the back there, like that. We are connected with that plug, a 2-in-1 plug, and we are connected. So from a distance, it looks like that. And you know all the drives that are connected. There is a lot of drives. And also my monitor is adjustable. If you didn't want to look at that, you can bring it down and hide everything. Now I'm just showing you all the connections because that is the whole point of a dock, is to have multiple choices. And this dock has a lot of choices. And I also have my cable for charging my phone and transferring data. So this is a little bit long, but this is the idea. Plug this into your phone and get the data to your laptop and charge your phone at the same time. And having said all that, I still have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports open. Now that's a lot of connectivity. I don't think there's any dock that gives you that kind of connectivity. Now you might be giving up a little bit of speed for Thunderbolt 4, speed that you probably won't even notice on a day-to-day basis. And I'm coming off of the SD card that came out of my Sony ZV-E10. We're doing a transfer right now. And this transfer is 4.11 gigs, about 10 seconds. That's pretty good. That's going into the EVO from a, 314 megabit second SD card, not a micro, but a standard. Now we're going to do a transfer over to the Western Digital Black 7100. And this one is coming up here. Let's see. Oh, we're doing a copy over here to the T7. So this is a T7, which runs a lot slower. And you can see it's about 5 seconds left, and it says 5.35 gigs. Now look how fast that was. This is all going through docks. Now this is going into my RAID array, which is 2 spinning hard drives that are set up in RAID 0. And I did this just to show you what it is like dealing with an old standard spinning disk, 2 of them splitting up the load. So you've got 5.35 gigs and you got less than a minute. So that's going into a RAID array through this Max 1 FusionDock Max 1. So look, we've got 4 gigs, 5 seconds left, coming up on the ending here, and that is done. So now we're going to copy the same file over to the EVO. Now the EVO is a Thunderbolt 5, but it's running through the Thunderbolt 4 dock. So I'm going to say keep both, and here we go. We are copying 5.35 gigs, and it says about 5 seconds. Now watch how fast that is. Now this is all going through Thunderbolt 4 dock. So now we're going to do some speed tests. Open up the speed test here, select a target drive, and which one am I going to select? So we are going to select the EVO for the first test, and we'll put that in any file like the screen recording file. And I am recording the screen at the same time through this MacBook Pro, so that may hinder speeds, but I don't see any hindrance. So look at the EVO. It's really fast for Thunderbolt 5 going into Thunderbolt 4. So you got 2736 and 2826 on the read. And I'm impressed with that going through the Thunderbolt 4 dock. And I wasn't prepared to be impressed other than on the connections, but I am impressed. So we are going to go to the Western Digital Black, and we are going to check the speed on the Western Digital Black. So here we are. It's slower, of course. It's a Thunderbolt 4 dock, and the SSD says it's only rated at 7,000. So we're looking at 2133 and 2833. So you notice it's good for all things right there on the chart. Everything is green tick mark. So what am I going to select next? We are going to go to the T7. We are going to do a speed test on the T7 just to show you why the T7 was slower. And we're talking 746, 745, and 580, 581, 583. That's the speed of the Samsung T7. Now, if you notice, we're going to get a follow up here in all the tick marks and see. You see that the H.265 is all marked all the way down to AK60. So it's not as powerful as the other 2 drives, of course, and it's not expected to be. So now we're going to do a speed test on the RAID array. So the old spinning drives, we're looking at 130, 139 megabits a second on the right. And of course, it's slower, but you did see it did move that 5 gigabyte file pretty fast for what it is. It's the fastest thing I ever had when I was running my iMac, my 2014 iMac. I had these 2 drives and they were set up in RAID, and it was quicker than the one that was in the iMac. So that's the speed. I wanted to show you what the spinning disk runs. Okay, so that speed test is over with. And coming up here, we're going to open some files. We're going to open up video files. A video file on each drive. Now, I'm not so good with my touchpad, guys. I forced myself on my desktop to go to the touchpad because this 49-inch monitor is a lot of mouse movement. So when it comes to pinching and dragging and selecting, I need to work on. I'm working on that. I'm not not the greatest. I'm not a power user. I'm just, you know, an old guy that's using nice technology. So here we go. I'm going to resize this one too. Now I wish there was some sort of, you know, Control Alt Blop that would size everything for me, and maybe there is, because I surely don't, I'm not a power user. So now we're setting up videos from all the different drives, and I want to get them sized so that you can, you know, see that they're all running. So now we got 2 drives, and we are going to pull one off of the off the T7. So this one is, you saw the speed of the T7, about 700 something megabytes. So there is the T7, and I was utterly amazed because I clicked on every drive and I had something playing off of every drive at the same time, and I even had Final Cut Pro rendering in the background, and it did not hinder my render in the Final Cut Pro. Speaking of rendering, I have done several tests rendering, and I've done it with the Thunderbolt 5 directly into the Mac, and my library is on the Thunderbolt 5, by the way. And I've done the rendering into the Thunderbolt 4 on the Express 1M, 2M, and I've done it on the Mac. So here we go. Video number 1, video number 2, video number 3, video number 4. And they are all speaking and talking smooth as silk. So you've got 4 different drives, including the spinning drive that's playing video off of the spinning drive at the same time. So now while these 4 videos are playing and talking, and it gets pretty hectic if I was to let you listen to all the sound, but I'm going to reopen Final Cut Pro and see how responsive it is. Okay, I'm a little green with this touchpad, even though I've had it for like 6 months. I'm just, well, I was off sick for a little bit, and I'm trying to recover, get my thoughts together here. Let's get this video playing. Okay, this video is talking and playback is perfect. So now you've got 4 drives talking through the Max one, and you've got the Final Cut Pro is, the library is on the Thunderbolt 5 on the Evo. So this, I just touched it. Sorry, I stopped the video. Tapped my hand on the pad there. So everything is talking, playing smooth as silk, and that amazes me. Of course, I don't have, you know, timelines with all these red raw or any of that stuff. Just a little timeline with little videos that take up, for me, 6 gigs is quite a bit for a little short, you know, 14-minute video.